Good evening and welcome to the November 6th, 2024 meeting of the Roseville City Council. We'll call the meeting to order and I'll ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll start off with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Here.
Councilmember Elverd.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Here.
And Mayor Hildeschild.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Christy Holreger to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm going to ask the city clerk to announce our meeting procedures.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Roseville City Council meeting. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table, to your right, or online on our city's website. All comments from the public should be directed to our city council and not to any member of the audience or to any staff member. All speakers must speak from the podium as this meeting is being recorded tonight. On items that are not on the agenda, members of the public may address the City Council regarding any item not listed on tonight's agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of our City Council. Public comment is limited to 25 minutes, and each speaker will have 3 minutes. If the time limitation is reached in this first segment, individuals will have a second opportunity for public comment at the end of the meeting just prior to council comments. The Brown Act does prohibit our City Council from discussing, debating, or taking actions on items that are not listed on the agenda. For those items that are appearing on the agenda tonight, speakers will have 5 minutes to provide input that should be relevant to the item that is listed. Time will be monitored, and once the red light begins to flash at the podium, we ask that the speaker please conclude their comments. Lastly, if addressing the City Council tonight, please consider stating your name for the record. With that, welcome to the City of Roseville, and we appreciate your participation.
Hey, thank you very much. We'll start this evening with presentations. I'm going to ask the Eagle Scout on the City Council, Councilmember Tracy Mendoza, to present the resolution to Boy Scout Troop 11 on their 100th anniversary.
Okay. I'm far out.
All right. I'm going to hand this to you first so that you can have it. This is very exciting. I'm an Eagle Scout, as the mayor said. This is exciting for me to do this because the troop that I got my Eagle Scout through in Sacramento, I was there during their 100th anniversary too. And
Wonderful.
When I was a district commissioner after I made Eagle, I looked it up, and so few troops stay active consistently. Some of them, they break off, they get rechartered and things like that, but the fact that this troop maintained 100 years consistently, it's something to be very proud of, and it's something that's very rare throughout the districts, not only here in California, but throughout the nation.
Councilmember Mendoza, could you get closer to the microphone?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so now we'll start all the whereases. So, whereas Boy Scout Troop 11 was chartered in 1924 by American Legion Post 169 and is celebrating its 100th anniversary. Troop 11 is the oldest Boy Scout troop in Roseville, having been continuously chartered since 1924. Whereas since 1924, 187 Eagle Scouts have given back to the Roseville community with their motto, "Be prepared." All right. We'll come back around on that. All right. And whereas since 1924, Troop 11 leadership and scouts have given back to the community through hours of community service. And whereas in times of emergency, Troop 11 has mobilized to give aid where natural disasters have occurred. And whereas Troop 11 leadership has exposed local youth to growth opportunities and adventures and instilled in them an appreciation for nature. And Troop 11 Scouts have been taught self-confidence and communication skills by troop leadership and other community members. And whereas Troop 11 has encouraged the growth of self-reliance through teaching life skills, cooking, first aid, and personal fitness. And whereas Troop 11 has encouraged the growth of religious faith in Scouts in non-denominational ways. And whereas Troop 11 encourages inclusion and acceptance of all by acceptance of all youth into their program. And whereas Troop 11 has strived to teach all Scouts to live their lives by the Scout law, And whereas Troop 11 has consistently raised funds to aid in their goals by holding community pancake breakfasts, popcorn sales, and crab and spaghetti feeds. And whereas Troop 11 provides community-wide service by properly retiring worn U.S. flags. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Roseville that Boy Scout Troop 11 be commended on their celebration of their 100th anniversary and extended best wishes for continued success in the future. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is John Clark. I have been a resident of the city of Roseville for 23 years. My son and I have been members of Troop 11 for 3 years, and I have been Scoutmaster of Troop 11 since the first day of 2024. Today, the Troop 11 family would like to thank you for the recognition that you have given us today. Troop 11's history started when the city put out a call to both young boys and volunteers to get involved in the scouting movement. The response was great. That first Troop 11 had a membership of 64 boys in it. On May 9th, 1924, the Allen W. Butler American Legion Post 169 went on record to sponsor a new Boy Scout troop, Troop 11. For the past 100 years, Roseville's Troop 11 has had a hand in shaping young men, many of which have gone on to become leaders and contributors to the great community in which they were raised. Once again, the family of Troop 11 would like to thank the City Council and the community of Roseville. Keep on scouting. Thank you very much.
You have a lot of scouts here. I think it's worthy of a photo op, I'm pretty sure, if you all gather up here. And those of you, our meetings are recorded, so you can always go back in a day or so and, clip off this portion of the meeting for your viewing pleasure. So let's go down there and get a real quick photo op.
Gotta get the mayor in there.
But you guys turn to your, like that, right? Turn. You're in front of me? Nope. All right. We're good. Which one of you brought the pilot?
Oh, yeah.
That's this one right here. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, our next presentation, Vice Mayor Bernasconi will present recognizing Global Entrepreneurship Week, the week of November 18th to the 24th.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to present this proclamation to our Economic Development Manager, Wayne Wiley, and I think that he will accept it on behalf of the Roseville Venture Lab. So Global Entrepreneurship is in 2 weeks. It begins November 18th through the 24th, and I'll share a few things about the way the city is acknowledging it. Whereas most of the new jobs created through the United States in the past decade have come from the creative effort of entrepreneurs, innovators, and small businesses engaged in endeavors ranging from micro businesses to large-scale venture. Whereas Global Entrepreneurship Week, GEW, is the world's largest celebration of the innovators and job creators who launch startups that bring ideas to life, drive economic growth, expand human welfare. And whereas the Greater Sacramento region's week-long celebration of entrepreneurship and the GEW encompasses dozens of local and regional events throughout the Greater Sacramento region, each designed to expose citizens and constituents in the 6-county region to the idea of starting and running a business with the theme that entrepreneurship is for everyone. And whereas the Roseville Venture Lab and Entrepreneur Center provided in public-private partnership between the City of Roseville and the Growth Factory, which is right across the street here, is dedicated to strengthening the local startup businesses, spurring job growth, and fostering a community of entrepreneurs through programs, events, and partnerships, workforce development, and co-working space. So on behalf of our mayor, Hal DeShout, and the city council, we do proclaim November 18th through the 24th, 2024 as Global Entrepreneurship Week and encourage the community to support our local entrepreneurs and small business innovators by recognizing the value they bring to our community. Congratulations. I'll leave this here for you if you want to say a few words.
Yeah, I'll say a few words. First of all, thank you, Vice Mayor Bernasconi, and we appreciate the recognition. Unfortunately, our supporting partners were unavailable to be here tonight, but I'm happy to accept this on their behalf. And as we know, small business and entrepreneurs are the backbone of our community, and the city's investment in the Roseville Venture Lab really demonstrates this commitment, not only of supporting the ecosystem, but fostering a culture of innovation. And so I thank you for this recognition. And then just as a side note for the viewing audience, if you are interested in attending any events, please check out the city's economic development webpage for more information. So thank you.
I'm interested in attending more food events. All right.
Yeah.
So you know, what was great is in our communications department, is to be credited for this, there were some folks at last Friday that found that Roseville Rising food entrepreneur session by seeing our events calendar. So, oh, look, we talked long enough for the partner to get here.
Yeah, well, very good.
Come on up.
I'm going to put her on the spot, but this is one of our communities
I will.
Do it, bring it.
I mentioned, and this is Monique Brown. So if you would like
Hello,
to
Monique.
come up. And she is with the Growth Factory.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for waiting. I'm so sorry. We were at Grow Tech Fest in Chico, so supporting a lot of our regional entrepreneurs that were presenting there. But thank you. Where are we at?
Talking about the Roseville Rising food entrepreneurship last week, but you can say anything you want about where you were and the partnership. with the
Okay,
city.
well, Cameron is parking the car, so my partner in crime, Cameron Law from the Carlson Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and I are very, very pleased to receive the proclamation in recognition of entrepreneurship here in the region, and specifically here in Roseville. Monique Brown from the Growth Factory, very proud partner of the City of Roseville and the initiative across the street, the Roseville Venture Lab, where we've had a couple years now of really activating entrepreneurship here in the region. The most recent was the Roseville Rising for Food, which was a lot of fun, very delicious. Looking forward to doing that one again.
Bring more waffles with the sriracha.
Yeah, not your average taco. That one was really good. We have a number of events coming up for Global Entrepreneurship Week, including the kind of the State of the Union for entrepreneurship that will be held at the Carlson Center on Monday, maybe the 20th, the Monday, the week before Thanksgiving, and people are welcome to come and learn a little bit more about what's happening in the region. We have some really great keynotes there. And then we'll be hosting AngelCon, which is our first annual event where we've spent the year training new angel investors and supporting some startups that they've been diligencing, and they're going to make a $100,000 investment into one of those startups. So they'll be pitching that Wednesday of Global Entrepreneurship Week and getting ready to start our student innovation program again coming early next year. So applications for that will be opening for our high school students here shortly. So lots of stuff going on, but couldn't do this work without partnerships like this one, and the city's really been a leader and putting a flag in the ground and making this investment for us all, for the benefit of all of us. So
This guy parked the car.
There.
this is the car
This guy
parker.
parked the car here. Chauffeur from Chico.
One, thank you for having me, and apologies for the long drive down here and being a little tardy, but do appreciate the continued support from the city of Roseville and your just continued investment into entrepreneurship and particularly our Global Entrepreneurship Week. And one of the partnerships we love is also through the Western Placer Waste Management Authority and your investment in Sac State and the Carlson Center to invest in the circular economy. And we really see this, one, City of Roseville and Placer County being a hub for that going forward. So we look forward to engaging. I don't know if you highlighted some of our signature events, if you already did. We already did. So with that, just appreciate your continued investment into entrepreneurs. And I always like to end with, out of every 1,000 of us, only 3 are entrepreneurs. And so I ask, what are those other 997 doing to wrap around those starters? And that's what part of Global Entrepreneurship Week is, to wrap around those starters, celebrate their work and bringing new innovations to light and creating jobs and opportunity in our community.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Next, we will have public comments on non-agenda items. I have one speaker card from Gary Adams. Gary? Yep, there he is. 2 minutes, 3 minutes? What do we got?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And let me know if the speaker's okay as far as me talking.
Yeah, I think I can
Last
hear you
time I
well.
was either too close or too far away.
No, I think you're good.
I came in tonight to talk about my utility bill. 20 years ago, it was only $100 or less. Now it's double that. And 75% of the bill is fees, not usage, fees. I'm on my 3rd meter, electric meter now since they changed out. How am I supposed to have confidence in the system with that particular thing? That's not really what I came in here to talk about. I want to talk about the issue of the water portion and the wastewater. I think they should be tied together. The flat fee for wastewater is almost $54 per household. I live by myself. You got families that 2, 4, 6, 8. It's not equitable. So what my proposal is, you tie in fee for wastewater with water usage. And then just like you have with electric, you have one tier and then a second tier when you go past that. Do something like that. Anyhow, it's a thought that I came looking at this thing. I mean, the water charge is $30.82. The wastewater charge is $53.45. That's almost $85. That's over half of the fees. The water usage fee is $1.79. So when we come into a drought, and I took my last year's usage, and I discovered 5 months in a row that I had a leak. And I knew I had a leak because I had to replace the hot water line under the kitchen sink. But then I had a slow leak in the toilet that I couldn't hear. So 5 months in a row, my bill was elevated. And the only way we're going to get people to identify with saving water during a drought is if they're paying more for water, because that stands out. Because I didn't notice these elevated usage for these 5 months last year. No, from I think January through May, until I was actually looking at it. So that's my proposal. And I guess my time's up.
City manager will connect you with the appropriate staff. We've got your name, and so.
Okay.
As you heard our city clerk say, we can't respond to anything under non-agenda items, but we can connect you with our
I'm just
utility staff.
proposing an original idea.
Thank you for.
because
your
I don't think
comment.
the flat fee is equitable.
Is there anyone else who has a non-agenda item that they want to make a public comment on? Yeah. Is it on the agenda or not on the agenda?
Not on the agenda.
Come on forward then.
Council members, my name is Brian Faircloth, and I'm a volunteer, not a spokesperson for United Sovereigns Americans. We're a nonpartisan organization, and on October 2nd, we came to you asking you to put a resolution on the next agenda on the council. We come to you again tonight because as of today, the resolution for fair and valid election has not been put on the agenda. I understand that the council is precluded from discussing or considering a non-agenda item and requests that the resolution for a valid 2024 election be placed on the agenda of a future council meeting so that it can be discussed and considered by adoption of the council. Your further action on this resolution will illustrate your dedication and support to the concerns of your constituents and your country. We look forward to your support of fair and honest and valid elections. Additional information about United Sovereigns Americans and their proposed resolution can be found at uniteforfreedom.com. Today, we will present more additional information on the organization founders, the chairman, co-chairman of the organization. You'll hear their biographies and their credentials that they've been involved for years in election processes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. I'm Robert Dobbins. I've been a citizen of Roseville for 10 years. I'm also a volunteer of United Sovereign Americans. Who we are, United Sovereign Americans is a volunteer organization committed to ensuring fidelity to the law as it relates to elections and voting. We are dedicated to protecting the individual liberty of all American citizens by assuring transparent, unwavering, lawful, and trustworthy elections. The constitutional right of citizens to choose our representatives guarantees that our government upholds our will and serves with our consent. Our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness are secured by the law. Laws regarding elections that have been enacted include the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, the Help America Vote Act of 2002, and the Federal Information Security Management Act of 2002. Why we were formed. The New York Citizens Audit, NYCA, found millions of suspicious voter registrations and other irregularities in the state of New York. When they discovered the extent of potential crimes, the founder of NYCA, Marley Hornick, was inspired to initiate similar audits in other states and co-founded the United Sovereign Americans with Harry Howry. Why it matters. To restore the validity of our elections by the November 2024 election and certification, we must act now with crystal clear strategy across the nation. The courts, bureaucrats, and politicians increasingly view themselves as election referees, overseeing close contests and ultimately making the final call. This is a gross violation of their duty and reduces suffrage to the arbitrary will of bureaucrats. The extensive planning, research, and analysis that is behind this effort, combined with laser-focused litigation, will force election officials and their superiors to obey the clear law they appear to have broadly and materially violated. We can save our country by restoring validity, transparency, and confidence in our elections. We will force legally valid elections, protecting the rights of all eligible voting Americans. We implore you to vote aye and approve the resolution for a valid 2024 election. Please show your respect of your constituents and the necessity of a valid elections to the continuance of our great republic. We have 18 months until the 2026 congressional primaries. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Laura Burns. I'm a resident of Roseville. I, too, am a member of the nonpartisan United Sovereign Americans. We implore you to consider adding us to your agenda. We understand that Placer County is as good as it gets in California as far as election goes, and probably most of the country. The problem lies in the state. The voter rolls, tax laws, month-long voting season that all facilitate a lack of accountability. The need for voter ID, proof of citizenship, is still a serious problem plaguing the validity of our California elections. All the issues mentioned in the resolution we shared with you on October 2nd still exist, and the proposed remedies will certainly help to fix the problem. I'd like to remind you and maybe some of our fellow Roseville citizens of the 22 elections. The analysis of the California 2022 general elections has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that appear to violate both federal and state laws, including 5,886,198 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the California State Voter Roll database. 2,776,939 voters cast by ineligible and uncertain registrations. 123,785 more votes counted than voters who voted. No one knows where these came from. 2,776,849 apparent voting violations in excess of the legal standard of system accuracy for a valid federal election. Maximum allowed in the system errors for the 2022 general elections was only 90. I find this compelling, and I hope you do too. This is very important. It was a long night, and California has a few things that we need to straighten out. The only way we can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded is to adopt this resolution. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Anyone else, public comment on non-agenda items? I'm going to give the scouts an opportunity if they'd like to leave at this point in time, or do you want to stay? You stay, okay. I know you said 8:30.
We might be
We'll try to be done before 8:30, but I wanted to give you an opportunity, because we'll now move into the consent calendar, and I'll ask the city clerk to announce the procedures for the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, all matters on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one motion of the City Council. There will be no discussion on consent calendar items unless a member of the City Council staff or a member of the public requests that a specific item be pulled for further discussion. We did receive a request by Councilmember Rakucci to pull item 7.16 for a presentation and discussion. Staff members have not requested any other item be pulled, and so at this time, I'd like to ask if any member of the public would like to pull an item for further discussion. Okay, seeing none, Mr. Mayor, let me present the items to you. So tonight, for consideration, the City Council will consider consent calendar items 7.1 through 7.15 and 7.17 through 7.23. May I please have a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. We'll move on to item 7.16, which is the consolidation. Excuse me.
Brought this forward, asking to have it pooled. It's a consolidation of the Park and Recreation Commission, the Library Board, and the Senior Commission. Right now, they're all individual boards, and we're looking to put them together. It's coming before council, and I thought this is a good opportunity for Park and Rec Director to explain that, and so the community, when they want to apply for maybe beyond on a commission, they'll know that this is a new way that we're doing it, or that we're considering doing a new way. How's it?
Well, thank you, Councilmember Rakucci, and thank you, Mayor Haldeshell, members of the council. I am Jill Geller, your Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director, and I'm happy to be here tonight to share some information about the consolidation of our Parks, Recreation, and Libraries boards and commissions. There are 3 boards and commissions that fall under the purview of the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. We have the Parks and Recreation Commission, which is a 7-member commission plus a youth commissioner meeting monthly. The Library Board is a 5-member board plus a youth commissioner meeting bi-monthly. And the Senior Commission is a 7-member commission meeting quarterly. Staff are proposing that these 3 groups be consolidated into a single Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Commission. There are many benefits to consolidating these groups. It will provide a more meaningful experience for the commissioners and board members with topics that relate to a broader range of parks, recreation, and libraries issues. The consolidation will result in fewer meeting cancellations, since at times there are insufficient topics in just one of these areas to justify a meeting. I mentioned previously that the Parks and Rec Commission meets monthly, the Library Board meets bi-monthly, and the Senior Commission meets quarterly. But due to insufficient agenda items and other conflicts, this past year the Parks and Rec Commission met only 6 times, the Library Board met 4 times, and the Senior Commission met 3 times. Cancellations are not uncommon, and consolidation will provide more topics to cover throughout the years, resulting in less meeting cancellations. Also, a consolidated commission better reflects the mission, vision, and goals of our Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department as a whole. Parks and recreation activities, library activities, and senior programming do not happen independent of one another. So a deeper understanding of the interconnection between all areas of our business will not only provide a fuller experience for the commissioners, but will allow them to be more informed when interacting with the public and when advising staff. We also recognize that some individuals may use the opportunity to serve on a board or a commission as preparation for future city leadership. For example, City Council. The experience of serving on a consolidated commission will provide these members with a wider city perspective and better preparation for these opportunities. And lastly, the consolidation will result in more effective use of city funds and resources. Preparing for and conducting each meeting requires considerable staff time, not only from the Parks, Recreation, and Library staff, but it also involves the City Clerk's Office, the Public Affairs and Communications Department, and the City Attorney's Office, just to name a few. As we considered this consolidation, we recognize that the senior population is, and historically has been, well represented on both the Parks and Recreation Commission and the Library Board, and we expect that to be the case on the new consolidated commission. An extra measure to ensure that the senior population is not lost in this consolidation, we're considering the development of an informal senior advisory group facilitated by our staff who can share comments and recommendations with the commission. Our PRL staff interact with seniors every day at our facilities and in our 50 and Better programs, and will ensure that their voices continue to be heard. We presented this consolidation plan to all 3 groups to seek their input, with the original proposal that the consolidation would occur on January 1st of 2025. We listened to their feedback and made some adjustments to the plan. All 3 groups expressed general support of the consolidation, with the concern being the timing. Some commissioners and board members have terms that run through December 31st of 2026, and they desired to complete their terms. So we've revised the consolidation date to become effective January 1st of 2027 to allow all current board members and commissioners to complete their terms. So although the consolidation would not occur until 2027, this item is before you tonight because new commissioners will be appointed next month, and we request that you appoint these new members to 2-year terms. The end of their terms will then coincide with the end of the current members' terms in 2026, facilitating a smooth transition to the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Commission in 2027. This Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Commission will be a new 9-member commission, including a youth commissioner. The commission will meet monthly, and because it will be a brand-new commission, all current commissioners and board members will be able to apply if they desire, as will other interested residents. When new members are appointed to the commission in December of '26, we propose that these initial appointments should be staggered. We suggest 4 of them would be 4-year appointments, 4 would be 2-year appointments, and the youth commissioner will continue to be a 1-year appointment. That way, all of their terms would not expire simultaneously, and we would always have a mix of existing members and new members to provide continuity to the group. Once these initial appointments are made, future appointments would be for 4-year terms. These are just offered as suggestions, and if you approve the consolidation to become effective 2027, we have time to work through these logistics. So the request before you tonight is to approve the consolidation of the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Library Board, and the Senior Commission, and form the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Commission effective January 1st of 2027. And I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Council, any questions? I'll open it up for public comment. Close public comment, bring it back to the council for their action. We want a motion on?
For a motion?
At this time, the City Council will consider approving the consolidation of the Parks and Recreation Commission, Library Board, and Senior Commission into a single Parks, Recreation, and Library Commission effective January 1st, 2027, and recommending any appointments made to these 3 board commissions between now and January 1st, 2027 shall be for a term ending December 31st, 2026. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Bercucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshelt.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Next up, we have special requests, reports, and presentations. Item 8.1, council discretionary funds for Caseburg Elementary. And I believe, Carmen, you're gonna lead us on that presentation?
I will. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor. So the City Council did, I'm sorry. So I'm going to ask Vice Mayor Bernasconi to please recuse herself, as she does have a conflict with Caseburg Elementary School, as they are her client.
Roseville City
So,
School
okay,
District.
this is 8.1, so she needs to come back then.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
she has a conflict
Okay.
on 8.
Part of Roseville
For
City
both,
School.
okay, got it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, yes, Mr. Mayor, the City Council did receive a request for council discretionary funds from Caseburg Elementary School in support and recognition for having been honored as a 2024 Blue Ribbon Award recipient. The school plans to host an event for their recognition that is certainly well-deserved and for this achievement with the Caseburg community stakeholders on November 22nd, and is requesting at this time a sponsorship from the City Council. Hence, tonight, we do have Ms. Kristen Fader, representative for the Caseburg Elementary School, should the City Council have any questions.
Good evening, Roseville City Council. My name is Kristen Fader. I'm a second grade teacher at Caseburg Elementary School in the Roseville City School District. And I'm here this evening on behalf of the entire Caseburg staff and community to express our sincere gratitude to the City Council for generously sponsoring 300 t-shirts for our students in celebration of our school receiving the National Blue Ribbon Award. Our school serves 300 students from transitional kindergarten through 5th grade, with 57% coming from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds. On September 23rd of this year, we were honored to learn that Caseburg Elementary had been named a recipient of the 2024 National Blue Ribbon Award. U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona recognized 356 schools across the United States as part of the 2024 cohort of National Blue Ribbon schools. This prestigious recognition highlights schools that demonstrate outstanding academic performance or make significant progress in closing achievement gaps between student groups. Caseburg is one of only 33 schools in California to receive this honor. And Roseville City School District is incredibly proud of the hard work and dedication of not only our staff and our students, but also our families. We were awarded the recognition in the Exemplary Achievement Gap Closing Schools category, which reflects our commitment to improving academic achievement while also fostering a supportive, inclusive environment where students feel valued, motivated, and encouraged to excel. Caseburg, Caseburg is only the second school in the Roseville City School District to receive this honor, with Ike Middle School receiving the honor 24 years ago. Furthermore, only 4 schools in Placer County have received this prestigious award. To put it into perspective, less than 0.3% of schools nationwide earn the Blue Ribbon Award, making this an extraordinary achievement. We are extremely proud of the work we do to support our students and help them succeed every day. On Friday, November 22nd, we will celebrate this remarkable achievement with a National Blue Ribbon Assembly for our 300 students. The assembly will highlight how proud we are of their hard work, dedication, and commitment to bringing their best every day. During this special event, our students will proudly wear their Blue Ribbon t-shirts, and we can't wait to see the entire school filled with blue. We would also like to extend a formal invitation to the Roseville City Council to join us for this celebration and be part of this exciting moment. Thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts for supporting our school and bringing so many smiles to our 300 students.
Stay right there, because we have questions, I'm sure.
Hopefully I can answer them.
Councilman Albert, question?
Is your school district also sponsoring?
I believe, like for the assembly, it's coming, I believe a lot of the funds are coming from our PTC, our parent-teacher club.
And I don't really have a question, but congratulations. That's incredible. What a nice thing to brag about in our city. And I know a lot of people come here because of our school system, so thanks for leading the way.
To brag on, I mean, my principal and our teacher on special assignment, Artosa, are currently in Washington, D.C. to receive this award. So it's a really amazing thing.
Okay. Remind me what your total budget is for this event? Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Sorry, I thought it was 30. Is it around 4,000?
Okay, we're good.
Sorry.
We're good.
That was
I know
part of the
I know I
information.
connected with someone to try to get you some additional funding from the community, so.
So your letter says that the PTC has set aside $1,500 of the fundraising budget to go towards that. So is that what you're seeking, or?
I believe, I don't have the actual, budget in front of me, but I thought I saw was 3,600, and I might be wrong.
Oh, nope, it's here. Okay, for 300 students, okay. And then 1,000 for the school signage.
Sorry.
Apologize, I should have not asked you a question I didn't know the answer to. Okay. Any other? I mean, I'd be comfortable with a recommendation for $1,500. We do have a lot of folks, and it's early in the year on our grants advisory, but I'd be comfortable with $1,500. Do I have to open this for public comment?
Yes.
All right, public comment. Close public comment, don't.
Stay, sorry.
Come back. All right, are we, how do we feel about, from our grant, from our Citizen Benefit Fund, contribution of $1,500?
I love the program. It seems a little high to me, but.
What's that?
Seems a little high to me, but I could support it if the other council members want to support it. It's a great program. We don't have jurisdiction over the schools, but we sure are proud of them when they accomplish stuff like this.
Carmen, this 14,821 reflected in the blue sheet communication, that's prior to any disbursement.
Correct. That's up to date.
That's up to date?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Well, I mean, they're asking 36, I mean, I think 15, I think strikes a balance there. I mean, I'd be okay with 15.
I would be fine with 15.
Okay. Having heard the feedback from council at this time, the city council will consider approving a request for a donation in the amount of $1,500 from council discretionary funds for Caseburg Elementary School Blue Ribbon Award celebratory event. May I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll let the record reflect that Vice Mayor Bernasconi did not participate in the discussion or the vote on this matter. We'll start with Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci?
Yes.
And Mayor Hildeshout?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
November 22nd, what time do you want us there?
I believe it starts at 8:30.
8:30.
Yes, but I'm sure my principal will send you a formal invite.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next item is item 8.2, discretionary funds, Roseville Joint Union High School District. And again, Vice Mayor Bernasconi, you want to announce that?
So yes, on item 8.2, the record will reflect that Vice Mayor Bernasconi will be recusing herself, therefore not participating in the discussion or the vote on this matter. So if I can make the presentation, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, please do.
So at this time, the City Council did receive a request for council discretionary funds from Roseville Joint Union High School District to support their local scholarship program. The district it will consider awarding $1,000 to 3 class of 2025 students next year in May to support students in their academic journey in higher education at a 2- or 4-year institution or embark on training in trade schools for completion of a career technical education, otherwise known as CTE certifications, and is requesting sponsorship from the City Council tonight. We do have Janelle Lott, the representative for Roseville Joint Union High School District, here tonight. Should the council have any questions?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Janelle Lott, and I just want to say this while I have the Caseburg staff behind me. I've been a resident of Roseville for 34 years, which is my entire life, and I was a student at Caseburg Elementary, so that was pretty cool to hear right before here. I'm also the marketing and communications coordinator for our district's local scholarship program. I work at Wood Creek High School, but I'm a team of 6 amazing women. We are so appreciative of the support that we've received from the council in the past. Just to kind of give you some background and to refresh some memory, I thank you for requesting, to fund the scholarship that we asked for discretionary funds last year. For this scholarship, the eligible students were required to either complete a full CTE pathway, which is career technical education, at one of their sites, or have worked as a city employee or intern, which is really awesome. They were also required to maintain a minimum 3.0 GPA, and they wrote a short essay about what they love about the city that they live in. I really want to emphasize that in our scholarship program, that's pretty large, there is no scholarship available that satisfies this criteria. So these students who qualify for this really are just great candidates, and they don't have many options like this throughout the program. So it's really, really important. Last year, the council also requested that we scan applications and maybe consider students who were going to universities or colleges in our general area, California, but even more specifically, better, Roseville or our area, our region. And so we did take that into consideration. We gave 3 scholarship recipients $1,000, and those students are at UC Davis, Sierra College, and UC San Diego currently in their freshman year. I do also want to note that they all mentioned that they would love to come back to Roseville after they finish their studies. We have had this program for over 50 years now. It's a really, really big pillar in our community. We've grown the program quite a bit since 2016. But even though we've done that, there's about 2,300 seniors in our school district. Many of them have immense financial need with just incredible increases in tuition, dorm and housing on campuses, books and lab fees. All of those are always growing. And scholarships like these are often the difference for whether a student can attend a college or university or not after graduation. The students in our district, I just want to really emphasize, they're our future. They're going to be our future workers in this community, and I find it really valuable to invest in them. So I'm here tonight to just respectfully request again your consideration of these funds to go towards 3 seniors in our high school district.
Great, thanks. Stay right there.
Yep.
Questions from the council?
I just had a question. Each of those scholarships, when they're given that evening, are they announced as being from Roseville High School District, or is it from City of Roseville?
The scholarship name is the Roseville City Council Scholarship, and that's how they are announced and awarded. They receive certificates with that scholarship name on it. And that's why we also had them write the essay specifically about what do you love where you live? What do you love? We do have Antelope and Granite Bay in our district, so they write sometimes about Antelope and Granite Bay. But the majority of our students do write about what they love about Roseville and why they love being here, which we find really cool too.
Okay.
Any other questions? Open it up.
Great sales pitch.
Thank you.
Are you, open it for public comment. All right, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back. The request is for the city council to award, as we did last year, $3,000 from discretionary fund. You want to read the actual
Yes.
motion?
Thank you. So at this time, on item 8.2, the City Council will consider approving a request for $3,000 from council discretionary funds for Roseville Joint Union High School District in support for their local scholarship program. May I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. Again, our record will reflect that Vice Mayor Bernasconi did not participate in the discussion or the vote on this matter as she has a conflict due to Roseville Joint Union High School District being a client. We'll start roll call with Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci. And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
So
And I
much.
echo, Councilman Albert, excellent presentation.
Thank
You must have gotten a scholarship somewhere along the way. All right, Resolution 9.1, we'll give Vice Mayor Bernasconi a second to get back out.
Sure, it's not December.
The 2024 Pro Housing Incentive Pilot Program application for funding, and our Economic Development Director, Melissa Anguiano, will make a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Haldeshell, members of the City Council. My name is Melissa Anguiano. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Roseville. And tonight I'm here to present an application for a Pro Housing Incentive Pilot Program. The Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, established the Pro Housing Designation Program in 2019 to help meet California's housing goals. This designation was given to cities that removed barriers to housing and makes affordable housing projects more competitive by potentially accelerating the timeline for future development. The Pro Housing Incentive Pilot Program completes the Pro Housing Designation Program by offering cities under the designation an opportunity to apply for funds based on jurisdiction size and pro housing scores. The City of Roseville received our Pro Housing designation in December of 2022, and the first round of Pro Housing Incentive Pilot funding, or the PIP funding, was awarded in May of 2023. We were a recipient in the first round, and the HCD has now released an application round 3, which is due on December 31st, 2024. Under the PIP program, eligible activities include pre-development, development acquisition, rehab, preservation of multifamily rental housing for low-income households. And this PIP program is a reimbursable grant program. In the first round, the city utilized a PIP award for pre-development costs associated to a multifamily rental housing affordable complex with Mercy Housing. If the city receives round 3 funding, we are looking to allocate the funds specifically towards preservation. Over the next 5 to 10 years, we can see anywhere between 60 to 400 units come offline in affordable based on agreements terming out. So while we continuously look at focusing on adding new affordable units to our stock, preservation of affordable multifamily rental housing would take the existing stock and ensure that it's retained as affordable for current and future residents. This would include the acquisition and rehab of units or complexes to retain affordability. Based on the program award amounts, they are determined by jurisdiction's population size as well as the city's pro-housing designation application score. The city of Roseville, based on this calculation, is eligible for a little over $1.2 million in funding, and so we will be applying for that total amount. Applications are due on December 31st, and estimated PIP Round 3 awards are expected to be announced in April of 2025. So tonight, staff is recommending that City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the necessary application, standard agreement, and relevant documents necessary to submit to HCD for the Pro Housing Incentive Pilot Grant Program. I am available for any questions.
Questions? Go ahead, Councilman Alves.
Quick question. I've never thought of this before. It's kind of, when an affordable unit goes off our inventory, do we now owe a replacement for it? Is that what you were saying, or?
Well, we don't owe, but we still have our obligation to meet our RENA numbers, and so we certainly want to look at opportunities for retaining those units so that we're not constantly chasing and trying to meet those RENA goals.
So if 10 go off, we owe 10 more to get back
Correct.
to the, okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. And then on the score of 46 that we have, how do we rank? Is that a good ranking? Is that?
Don't have the rankings of the other cities. I will say that there are a number of indicators that go into that ranking, including transit, proximity to schools, and open space and recreation and amenities and services. I don't know how the city, I know there is somebody here from Development Services, and I don't know if they'd be, do you have information on how we ranked?
Thank you, Councilmember Alward. Greg Bitter, Planning Manager with the Development Services Department. For a city our size, our demographics and just how we operate, we rank pretty high for comparable cities. Some larger cities that have more robust transit systems obviously got higher scores because of that. But when we were in the second batch, the city of Sacramento was the first city that was awarded the pro housing. Then it took about almost a year before 6 more cities were awarded, and so we were, above average, I would say.
I was guessing. I just wanted to put it on record. So. Thanks.
Other questions? Melissa, I do have one question. So there were a number of ballot measures on the bond measures on the ballot last night, and at least in the preliminary voting, the affordable housing bond didn't look like it was going to get the 50% necessary. Is this funding tied to that, or is this already funding that's set aside?
This is funding that's been already set aside through the state's budget allocations.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll open for public comments. Bring it back to the council. I do want to say that I'm always glad when these things come up, because it shows the initiative of our staff to go and seek funding for affordable housing units that can serve everyone who's serving us, whether it's at a grocery store or a restaurant. So really pleased about this. What's the pleasure of the council?
Any more comments? Yeah, thank you. On item 9.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 24-361, authorizing applications for and receipt of pro-housing incentive pilot program funds. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haudashelt.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, next up is our homeless prevention and rapid rehousing agreement and budget adjustment.
You. Good evening. Here for the second housing item tonight. I am going to present an overview of the Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Agreement and Budget Adjustment with the Volunteers of America. The Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Program began in 2017. It is currently funded with low, mod, and state permanent local housing allocation dollars. The program is utilized to assist with short-term rental assistance, deposits, and utility assistance, shelter services, and much more for our homelessness community. It's usually oversubscribed due to the sheer need of assistance. And since 2017, the city has granted a little over $5 million to programs to support services in both Roseville and for funds administered within the city of Rockland. Through this program, the city has been fortunate to partner with a network of valuable nonprofits and service providers who assist with delivering resources and services to some of our most vulnerable populations. One of these critical partners over the years has been Volunteers of America, the VOA. The VOA in 24-25 submitted a grant request to our Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Funding notice of availability. The City Council approved recommendations in May of 2024. And at that time, the VOA was awarded $75,000 to fund their Home Start shelter for families, which was half of their request of $150,000. The 24-25 award only allows the VOA to provide shelter, case management, and stabilization for this program through December of 2024. At Home Start, families have access to their furnished apartment units, provide a stabilized environment for children and parents. And during that time, the VOA staff is able to work with these families from the shelter to facilitate family stabilization. The VOA's Home Start facility is the only location in Roseville that offers permanent shelter for families. VOA staff also provides case management for families residing in the units, conducts ready-to-rent classes, and assists in locating and securing stable income and appropriate permanent housing. Understanding kind of the value of these services and the value that these units provide, a $150,000 ARPA grant is being recommended tonight to allow the VOA to continue operating these permanent shelter units through December of 2026. So tonight on the agenda, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt a resolution to approve a grant agreement between the City of Roseville and Volunteers of America in the amount of $150,000 for continued homeless prevention and rapid rehousing services, and adopt an ordinance to approve a budget adjustment to increase the grant expenditure in the ARPA fund by $150,000 for continued services. We also have Christine Holdenreger, from the CEO of Volunteers of America, with us here tonight if there are any questions.
I'll ask the council if they have any questions. Open up for public comment. I'll invite Christine up. Christy, up. I'll call you Krista, Kirsten, go through the whole list.
Thank you so much, and good evening. My name is Christy Holdreger, President and CEO of Volunteers of America. As a 28-year resident of Roseville, I want to thank the entire City Council for your investment in the lives of all of our neighbors. My longevity as a resident mirrors my employment with Volunteers of America. I share this with you as an example of the commitment I share with the council in uplifting those who are struggling with homelessness and the impact we can make in transitioning those successfully into permanent housing, employment, and to a brighter future. VOA is grateful for additional funding from the City of Roseville, which will help us continue providing shelter and supportive services to families experiencing homelessness in our community. The work taking place at our Home Start program on Riverside would not be possible without strong partnerships like the one we have with the City of Roseville, so we are very appreciative. In the last year, we have provided shelter and services to 98 individuals. In addition to emergency shelter for families, VOA provides 21 units of very low-income housing at the same site. Another service we provide in the region is rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. Through these efforts, we helped stabilize 466 individuals transition out of homelessness. Services include housing location assistance, application fees, deposits, access to food, rental assistance, moving costs, furnishings, and so on. Every family that comes to our doors represents a different story, and our goal is to come alongside each of them and provide them the tools they need to be self-sufficient. And I wanted to share a personal story with you. I got a text about 6 months ago from a childhood friend of my children. Samantha had just broken up with her boyfriend, lost her housing, and was about ready to be homeless with a newborn. To get a text from someone I knew personally made the services we provide that much more impactful. This wasn't the first time I got a call from a friend that had somebody that they knew, either a family member or a neighbor, that needed services and they were going to be homeless. But this was the first time I knew somebody personally. And she was only 25. Fortunately, we were able to get Samantha and her baby into Home Start, and within a few weeks, she was back up running and just needed that time to look at a plan, get some budgets, and look what her future was going to be holding for her. But without that safety net, her focus would have been consumed with mere survival. Each of you were there for her, giving her the time she needed to plan her next steps for housing, childcare, and employment. In addition to the work VOA does at Home Start and through rapid rehousing and homeless prevention, we also manage 4 low-income senior housing properties in Placer County, including Roseville, a total of 243 seniors who would otherwise be homeless or living in unstable housing. Lastly, we have a Built for Zero program for veterans in Placer County with funding through Placer County, HAP, and Kaiser. In the last 2 years, we have housed 99 of the hardest to place veterans, and our supportive services for veteran families continues to serve veterans throughout Placer County. Again, we cannot do this work without the strong partnerships of the city. Thank you so much for your support.
Anyone, any other public comment? Close public comment, bring it back to the council for questions or comments.
I have just a quick comment. And it's just for the public. The importance of the rapid rehousing, once somebody becomes homeless, it's really, it starts a clock that ticks really fast, and it becomes very difficult to get out of homelessness. The longer you're homeless, the harder it is to get transportation because you're just focused on eating and sleeping and trying to, like she said, survive. And so this rapid rehousing and trying to keep people from going into homelessness in the first place, it's super critical for our communities. That really does help keep our numbers down. And I just wanted to say that because I think that's just a really important aspect of what we do as a city and the organizations that help us do that. So thank you for what you do.
Anyone else? Yeah, I just want to thank VOA for the constructive and strong partnership, and thanks for those statistics that you provided us, whether they're families or seniors. It's a powerful statement. So with that, I'll ask the clerk to read the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On item 10.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 24-364, approving a grant agreement for homeless prevention and rapid rehousing services by and between the City of Roseville and Volunteers of America, Northern California, and Northern Nevada, Inc., and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville, and also adopting ordinance number 6883 of the Council of the City of Roseville, authorizing certain amendments to the fiscal year 2024-25 budget, and declaring this ordinance to be immediately effective as an appropriation measure. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haudashelt.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
I'm going to offer Troop 11 another opportunity. You're good? Okay. You're all right. I just want to make sure, you know. I don't want to have any teachers coming and asking me why their students' homework isn't done. Next up is public hearing, item 11.1, West Roseville Specific Plan Parcel F22 at 1130 Harvey Way, fee deferral. I'll open the public hearing.
Great. Good evening again, Mayor Haudashelt, members of the council. As noted earlier this evening, I'm Wayne Wiley, Economic Development Manager for the City of Roseville. And with me tonight is Gina McCall, the city's Economic Development Analyst. And she will be giving the presentation before you this evening. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to her.
Thank you, Wayne, and good evening. So West Roseville Specific Plan Parcel F22 is located at Fittimet and Harvey Way near Blue Oaks Boulevard. The proposed apartment project will be a 265-unit affordable housing apartment complex. The project received planning entitlements approval in June of this year. Building permits have also been submitted, and the development impact fees have been assessed. Subsequently, the developer submitted a request to defer certain city-controlled fees. The city offers a fee deferral program through the Economic Development Department as an incentive to facilitate new development. This is especially important for projects that may not otherwise be financially feasible, such as affordable housing projects that receive project funding at various times. The fee deferral request would allow payment of certain city-controlled impact fees to be deferred to building permit occupancy. Typically, these fees would be collected up front at building permit issuance. The request was reviewed by the various city departments, and the listed fees on this slide are being requested to be deferred. Deferral of these fees was determined to have no impact to the city budget. The fee deferral totals approximately $5.9 million as listed and detailed in your report. The city does charge interest on the deferral and administrative fees for processing the request, so there will be no financial loss to the city from the fee deferral. The Roseville Municipal Code and Government Code Section 53083 requires all fee deferrals over $100,000 to be approved via a public hearing. This request is routine in nature, therefore. So staff is recommending that the City Council adopt the resolution approving fee deferral for West Roseville Specific Plan Parcel F22 apartments, that project, for the previously stated impact fees plus interest until final of building permit and building occupancy. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions, council?
No.
All right.
I just had one. I know you really don't know when, the building really will be completed, but you have like a best guess, like 3 years or 4 years or 6 months, But just a timing.
Excellent question. The applicant is here to answer that.
Applicant is here.
Well, I
Good
have to
evening.
open for public comment then.
Chris, please do.
I'm opening public comment.
Okay.
Chris Stewart, on behalf of USA Properties. The project is being designed now. The improvement plans are in. Building plans are in. Those will be complete at the new year. So construction will begin in the spring. Project will be open a year later.
Okay.
About
No, thank you. That gives me an idea. That's, okay, thank you.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add while you're?
I'd like to thank you for the deferral.
Okay. All right. I'll ask if there's any other public comment. Close public comment. I'm supposed to ask the applicant if they'd like to make a rebuttal, but I don't hear anything, so I think we're good. Close the public hearing. If the council doesn't have any additional questions or comments, I'll ask the clerk to read the motion.
Thank you. On item 11.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 24-379, approving fee deferrals for the West Roseville Specific Plan Partial F-22 at 1130 Harvey Way project. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert. Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshelt. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
All righty. Next is item 11.2, Sierra Vista Specific Plan Parcel WB 42, General Plan Amendment, Specific Plan Amendment, Rezone Development Agreement Amendment. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to offer the scouts one more. This might be a long item. But this would be a great civics lesson, okay? Oh, our planning director is.
No.
No, you can leave,
please.
John. You can leave, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Didn't do that to the Boy
Congratulations again.
Scouts.
There's some little guys, too. I didn't see the little.
Oh, cool.
Scouts are exiting the chambers. I'll open the public hearing. We have somebody who wants to stay? What?
Thank you
Good
again.
night. All right. I'll ask for staff's presentation. We're good.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Hadashelt, members of the City Council. I'm Greg Bitter, Planning Manager with the city's Development Services Department. I'm here tonight with Derek Ogden, our Senior Planner, and Sean Morales, Associate Planner. We're going to present you the Sierra Vista Specific Plan Parcel WB 42 Rezone Project, and I'm just going to turn it right over to Sean so he can do the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Greg. As mentioned, I'm here tonight to present the WB 42 Rezone Project. The project site is located on parcel WB 42 within the Sierra Vista Specific Plan, or SVSP, at the southwest corner of Pleasant Grove and Westbrook Boulevards. The site has a zoning and general plan designation of community commercial and is 14.5 acres in size. The SVSP was adopted in 2010 and the Westbrook portion was added in 2012. The site is bordered by low-density, single-family residential subdivisions on all four sides, including the gated Heritage Solaire active adult community on the south and west, which was approved in 2017. The project would reconfigure parcel WB 42 from two parcels of 6 and 8.5 acres into 7-acre WB 42A on the north and 7.5-acre WB 42B on the south. A general plan amendment, specific plan amendment, and rezone are requested to change the zoning of WB 42B from community commercial to residential small lot, and the land use from community commercial to medium-density residential. A fifth amendment to the Westbrook Development Agreement is requested to reflect those land use changes and address financial obligations of the developer. On September 26th, the Planning Commission approved a tentative subdivision map to create 53 single-family residential lots and a lot line adjustment to modify the parcel sizes, as shown on the slide for reference. However, those approvals are contingent upon council's action tonight. Consistent with the City Council's adopted guidelines for the conversion of non-residential land uses, a fiscal impact analysis was prepared, which demonstrated that although the land use change of WB 42B to residential will likely create less revenue than anticipated with the commercial land use, the overall project site will not have a negative fiscal impact to the city's general fund on an annual basis. The conversion policy also requires the project provide a public benefit. There is an existing public benefit fee in the Westbrook DA that would generate about $67,000 from this project. However, the applicant and city have also negotiated 2 new fees that will add an additional approximately $500,000 for park development. To further support the request, the applicant provided a retail analysis that anticipates, based on the location and current market trends in commercial development, the site could support approximately 60 to 70,000 square feet of retail within the next 5 to 10 years. To show the viability of this site, the applicant provided a conceptual commercial site plan on the left that shows the site could accommodate an approximately 43,000 square foot grocery store with 11,000 square feet of pad buildings. And they did a second conceptual plan on the right without the large grocery tenant that features approximately 67,000 square feet of retail, shops, and office uses. The project requires a Fifth Amendment to the Westbrook DA, or Development Agreement. The DA would be amended to reflect the land use changes as well as the new fees previously discussed, which would be allocated to future neighborhood and community parks development. Consistent with CEQA guidelines for previously adopted documents, an addendum to the Sierra Vista Specific Plan EIR was prepared for this project and did not identify any new environmental impacts. Early notification of the project was posted on the Arcona website, as well as the city's project of interest page. The applicant also installed a sign on the property notifying the surrounding public of the project. The applicant also presented the project to the Heritage Solaire community in August and to the Solaire Neighborhood Association in September. Approximately 50 to 60 people attended each of those meetings. Tonight's public hearing and the Planning Commission previously, the notices for these meetings were published in the Press Tribune, mailed to property owners within 300 feet, emailed to a list of interested individuals, and also posted on the Arcona website as well. And 6 comment letters were received from the public for the Planning Commission, and 3 additional letters were received for tonight's meeting, all of which were included in the agenda packet. The discussion at both neighborhood meetings and in comment letters was fairly consistent, and I summarized it here for you. There's a group of nearby residents that are against the project that want to retain the possibility for more commercial uses closer to their homes. They believe that future nearby developments will increase the viability of 14.5 acres of commercial on this site, and that the applicant is acting prematurely in requesting the rezone. The applicant in the meetings states that other nearby commercial development will decrease the viability of 14 full acres of commercial on this site. The smaller parcel size will be right-sizing the site for facilitating development, and that they've tried to market the site unsuccessfully for a number of years. There's also a small group of residents that live directly adjacent to the site that are in support of the project and would prefer the residential neighborhood to a commercial project in their backyard area. As I mentioned, on September 26th, the Planning Commission voted 6 yes with 1 absent to consider the addendum, approve the tentative map and lot line adjustment, and recommend the council approve the general plan, specific plan, and development agreement amendments and the rezone. At the meeting, 4 residents provided public comment, 3 spoke against the project, and 1 spoke in favor, and the testimony mirrored the overall project response that I described on the previous slide. So in conclusion, the Planning Commission found that the project is consistent with the goals, policies, and standards of the zoning ordinance, general plan, and specific plan. The project is appropriately designed and will not be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare, and that the required findings of fact could be made. Therefore, the Commission recommended that the City Council take the actions listed on this slide, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, LA, before questions, I'll invite the applicant to come up and make any comments.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Marcus Loduca, 1508 Eureka Road here in Roseville. On behalf of West Park Communities, I'm pleased to be before you this evening with your staff's recommendation and the unanimous recommendation of the Planning Commission for approval of West Park's proposal to right-size the WB 42 commercial acreage in the Westbrook portion of the Sierra Vista Specific Plan. As you well know, West Park is the master developer of the Westbrook Amendment area, has built all the backbone infrastructure in the Westbrook area and entitled and sold all the properties in Westbrook to the state. In attracting builders, both residential and commercial, to the West Plan and Westbrook areas, West Park has developed a very detailed and extensive knowledge of the marketplace, including both for residential and commercial projects. In the area of commercial acreage, West Park planned, entitled, and built the infrastructure for the West Roseville Village Center, the key part and centerpiece of the West Plan. That site sat vacant for 10 years until West Park reacquired the property, re-envisions its land uses, and size the commercial element appropriate for the market. Today, the Village Center is a thriving, successful, mixed-use project that has become a real community social center of community social activity. The Village Center commercial component is 3 acres in size, with just over 25,000 square feet of commercial space with 12 separate building spaces. As staff mentioned, West Park's been marketing the property for a number of years, and feedback from both retail developers and brokers is the site is too big in that location. It's important to remember that since the Westbrook portion of Sierra Vista was entitled in 2012, the retail marketplace has undergone significant changes of at least 2 times over that last 12 years, particularly during the COVID pandemic and right after, with the increase in online shopping and also with the massive store closings following bankruptcy filings of large and small retailers alike. In that context, there really are several factors in the developability of a commercial site, as outlined in both your staff report and in the MXD study, development strategy study that's attached in your staff report packet. To begin with, there are really development trends that we've been seeing over the past number of years. And as shown in the MXD study, community-sized retail is trending very much downward in size. What 12 years ago was fairly standard, 14 to 15 acre grocery store anchored community commercial site has changed dramatically, with smaller grocers, smaller restaurants, smaller drugstores, smaller other retailers in that segment of the retail market. Here in this area of the Roseville market, that translates to roughly 63,000 to 71,000 square feet of building space, which yields about 6 to 7 acres of commercial acreage needed. In addition, different from what was occurring 6 or 7 years ago, there's been a number of nearby competitive retail sites that have actually been developed and are now open, as outlined on page 29 of the MXD study, with 5 of them within a 10-minute drive of WB 42. We also need to remember that there's been other major approved projects in the retail segment in both West Plan and Sierra Vista, most particularly the 750,000 square feet baseline marketplace that'll be anchored by a Costco store. And as the council knows, Costco's closed escrow on its site, with that site expected to be open either late next summer or early next fall. West Park's proposal to the council tonight, as it was to the Planning Commission, recognizes the realities of that retail market. It's not enough to hope for a site to develop at a certain size. As always, the marketplace determines what gets built and where it gets built. Rather than just taking half the project and saying, well, we'll pull someone in that's going to develop half the site and leave the other site bare, West Park is proposing to add more rooftops immediately adjacent to the commercial property within walking distance of that commercial site, which will now be sized to respond to the market. Either that, or else you could end up with a situation where, like with the Village Center, the entire site stays vacant for a number of years, as it has here in Westbrook for the last 12 years. And again, it's simply bare ground. It's not benefiting anyone, and there's no benefit to the general fund or any other aspect of the community. As proposed, the 53-lot subdivision also provides some additional benefits to the existing residents that border the site, as it will create a land use that is much more impactful, much less impactful than would be a commercial project to those adjacent residents. And the subdivision, which is not before you, but you saw a slide of it, will have single-loaded streets on its western and southern boundaries adjacent to existing residents' homes. So rather than having 2-story homes right up against their backyards, they will have a landscape corridor and then a single-loaded street adjacent to their properties. West Park strongly believes in the WB 42 retail site. It's just too big for that location. And after several years of marketing the site to retail developers and users, actually directly with users, That's what they're finding out. The site at 14.5 acres is simply too big in the middle of a community that's surrounded by residential neighborhoods, and with also that number of competing sites that are nearby. A 7-acre site, moreover, can accommodate all the commercial needs of the surrounding community with as much as 70,000 square feet of buildings. And I would note that that is nearly 3 times the amount of retail square footage in the West Plan Village Center, 3 times. All the types of stores that have been spoken about at residents, either in letters or at the Planning Commission, can be accommodated on a 7-acre site. It is not a small site at 7 acres. Just designating 14.5 acres as commercial doesn't mean that a site will ever get built or will be built at that size. I know there's folks that are upset that changes are being made to the specific plan. Well, in the west portion of Sierra Vista, I would remind the council that originally there was going to be an elementary school and a park site in that portion of Sierra Vista where now Heritage and Solera has been built. The specific plan was amended by the council to respond to changing market conditions, as has been the case that was in Roseville, as you've routinely done over the years to try to respond proactively to the evolving state of the marketplace. It's why Roseville is able to attract users and attract companies that are not built anywhere else, sometimes in the state of California, because you do turn on a dime and you try to make sure that your sites are at the appropriate size and are served by the appropriate infrastructure with the appropriate number of rooftops around it. The council well knows that West Park has developed thousands of acres in both the West Plan and Sierra Vista over the last 20 years for residential, commercial, parks and trails, schools, other public uses. They've built the paseos and bike lanes that have connected neighborhoods to those uses. And the type of uses that have been raised in the letter, all those retail types that people have talked about, can all be accommodated on this site under the community commercial zoning. But again, it will be at a size of a site that retailers are telling us this is what the marketplace is looking at right now. We'd also want to note that West Park is committed to continue to seek a quality retail developer to build a project that will, on that 7-acre site, that will be an amenity to the community. That was what they did in the West Plan Village Center. It took years. They pulled it off. Again, they had to come back in and repurpose that site, resize the site from the 13 acres down to the 3 acres, and it has been highly successful. With that, we would ask you tonight to approve the project as presented to you and as recommended by both your staff and the unanimous vote of the Planning Commission. Our project team is here to answer any questions the council may have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll accept some public testimony. I'm going to try, because somebody who lives at 9160. Who lives at 9160? Is it Jeanette? Mm-hmm. Come on, Jeanette. You're up for 3 minutes.
Just had knee surgery.
Oh.
Take your time. My name is Jeanette Serrano, and I live at
Come a little closer to the microphone.
9160 Starry Night Lane. We are at the cutoff point. I'm the last house before, according to what they said at the first meeting, toward the residential or the last commercial. I don't have a problem with it, really. I would rather not live where there's 2-story houses, because I had that in my other home, and people, no matter what you do, can see down into your house. So that would be my big objection. And I just wish they would get something built there so that field is full. That's all.
All right. Take your time getting back to your seat. Pam Katros?
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, my name's Pam Katros, actually.
Katros.
And I am her next-door neighbor, so I back up to the community commercial part. When I bought my home in 2018, I was concerned enough about it that I called to find out what that all meant, community commercial. And when they said it would be, stores and things like that, I was excited about it. And so I also would like something to be built. I'm not thrilled about the housing part of it. I understand they said that they've tried to get somebody in there, but I mean, we have that huge soccer field coming up down on Westbrook, and I would think they'd need to have some services locally near where we are, as opposed to going, more inland into Roseville. So that's my spiel. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Waters?
Thank you. My name is Bob Waters. I'm here with 5 other residents of Heritage Solaire. All of our homes back up to the property in question. So we're very concerned about what is going to go in behind us. This plan seems to be the best solution that we've heard of. We like the idea that right behind our privacy wall, there's a 10-foot buffer, then there's a street, then there's the front yard, and then there's the home. I think that gives us a huge buffer to enhance our living and the value of our property, frankly. I fear that if a commercial endeavor goes in there, a big grocery store like their Safeway on Fittyment and Pleasant Grove, we could potentially have a 2.5 to 3-story building right across an access way where the trucks would come in and deliver the products. There'd be security lights all night long. So from a residential point of view and from a property value point of view, we support this rezoning of this property. Thank you.
Kate Rosenleip?
So I have a procedural question. I've submitted a petition. I'm speaking on behalf of a number of neighbors, and I want to know, does that allow me any extra time?
So yes, our rules usually when speaking on behalf of a group, we have the discretion to allow additional time for the group. It doesn't necessarily equate to a 1-for-1. So if you're speaking for 20 people,
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'd like to have, I think I need 8 minutes.
I'll give you 5.
I'll do the best I can. This is the 3rd different commercial downzone request by the same developer for properties in our neighborhood. We've already lost 20 acres of planned commercial opportunities, and if this is approved tonight, that would increase to an astonishing 27.5 acres of commercial downzoning along West Pleasant Grove Boulevard, starting from Mojo's. When does it stop? The fiscal impact study estimates this proposal will create an annual deficit in the city's general fund in the amount of approximately $300,000 each fiscal year. So Mr. Alvord told me he believes the soccer complex will generate enough sales tax revenue to offset this expected loss, but it certainly won't generate the jobs that will be lost through this proposal or the opportunities for new businesses to locate to our immediate area. The latest MXD market study, scoped by the developer and commissioned only after significant pushback from this proposal became apparent, states in the last paragraph of page 37 that we are a growing trade area. And based on recent historical trends, the 7 acres the developer wants to downsize this commercial site into will not be large enough to house the study's projected 71,300 square feet of retail demand in our area that will be generated in the next 10 years. It just doesn't make any sense to keep downsizing commercial properties along West Pleasant Grove Boulevard in a growing market. As you know, the historical trends this latest MXD study relies on incorporates the COVID market, the hyperinflation market, both of which are now thankfully behind us, and yet another Fed drop will likely happen tomorrow with more to come. These past historical trends that these studies rely on often aren't great predictors of the future retail market. Kind of reminds me of how inaccurate the election polls are. There is much happening in West Roseville. There's a brand new important roadway connections that are taking place, new roadway widenings, new signals. The new soccer complex is under construction. There are exciting plans for a possible hotel on the city-owned commercial corner at Blue Oaks and Westbrook Boulevards. And a lot of other new growth is coming. The Santucci Boulevard connection between Baseline and Pleasant Grove Boulevard is expected to be completed by 2026, well in advance of previous estimates. And many local businesses, including Kaiser, have admitted to underestimating just how fast growth is occurring in Roseville. Ample new opportunities abound. The economy is strong. This proposal to further reduce commercial opportunities along West Pleasant Grove Boulevard is premature at best, and it conflicts with how we've seen other commercial properties along Blue Oaks Boulevard near Wood Creek Oaks and near Fitiment develop. If this proposal were approved tonight, that would leave us only 10 acres of commercially zoned property in the entire western end of Pleasant Grove Boulevard, starting from Mojo's development going west. That's terrible. That does not compare favorably with the 28-plus acres of planned commercial property along the same western end of Blue Oaks Boulevard, starting at the vacant parcel at Hayden and Blue Oaks, coming west towards Westbrook Boulevard. Why can't those of us living on the western end of Pleasant Grove Boulevard have the same service opportunities as those living on the western end of Blue Oaks Boulevard? The answer seems to point to who owns the land along West Pleasant Grove Boulevard, rather than any overall changes in retail commercial demand. This isn't Mojo's. This is not a mid-block site located a half a mile from other commercial that has sat vacant for 10 years. It's a corner lot over a mile from other commercial parcels with a significant traffic count, and it in a still growing area, and it deserves more time to develop with the many services that we need and deserve in our area. On land use planning, Mr. Alvord, you and I are going to have to agree to disagree, and that's okay. I appreciate your opinion that you're explaining that your belief is if this 14.5-acre property can't fully develop as 100% commercial within the next 10 years, then it should be downzoned per this proposal. But to me, after a long career in land use issues, that seems to me like a rather arbitrary timeline and one that we know cannot be estimated with certainty. And given our area isn't built out yet, it's premature. Setting arbitrary, hard-to-measure timelines is not the essence of good long-term planning. Creating a balanced land plan with equal service opportunities is. And as I already mentioned, even the latest MXD study indicates at 7 acres, that downsized site would not house the forecasted level of building square footage demanded in the next 10 years. Using this current developer-scoped and funded market study, which is in sharp contrast to the market study done by the same consultant in 2021, as a reason to continue the pattern of creating such large land use imbalances along West Pleasant Grove Boulevard, seems unimaginable to us who have invested in our homes in this area, relying on this land use plan. Thank you for your public service. Thank you for your time. We respectfully ask that your support in opposing this latest in a long line of commercial downzones along West Pleasant Grove Boulevard.
Thank you, and thanks for doing that in 5 minutes. Anyone else, public comment that we don't have a speaker card for? All right, allow the applicant rebuttal.
Mr. Mayor, you're closing the public comment or prior to the applicant providing rebuttal?
I'm providing the applicant rebuttal, and then I'm going to close the public hearing.
So you open public comment, I think procedurally you close public comment, and then allow the applicant the opportunity for rebuttal, and then you address the public hearing after that piece. So I think you just need to close public comment, if there's no public comment.
We'll close public comment.
Thank you.
So can you?
Mr. Mayor, just a few comments. One, there was a comment made about an annual deficit to the general fund of $300,000 a year. There's a difference long-term of $300,000 between 14.5 acres and 7 acres. It does remind me of the old Billy Preston song, "Nothing from nothing leaves nothing." If nothing gets built for 20 years on a site, you can have a study that shows theoretically what 14.5 acres could generate, but if nothing's built there, nothing's getting generated, versus a shorter-term project that is developed in the and is generating revenue for the city. The 28 acres mentioned includes the Village Center. The Village Center opened in 2021. The West Plan was approved in 2004, during probably the most highest growth rate post-World War II in the country, but particularly here in California. The rate of growth, rate of retail growth, I represent a lot of retail developers during that time, was absolutely unbelievable. At 13 acres, that site didn't develop, and it was surrounded by housing. It's only when it was reacquired by West Park, they relooked at the uses, went out to the marketplaces, what was going to work, that they were able to come forward with a 3-acre site, and that 3-acre site is unbelievably successful. It's roughly 1/3 of the site size of the 7 acres that we're proposing. Finally, there was a comment made that coming up with some kind of a timeline, 10 years or 20 years or something is arbitrary and, quote, not good balanced long-term land use planning. I've done work all over the state of California, and the city of Roseville is known for its long-term land use planning spanning the last 4 decades that is second to none in the state of California. It is looked at, balanced, it's made changes to land plans to react to market conditions. Those changes were one of the reasons why you landed the Galleria when it moved from another city. Why you were able to land a number of other uses to this city was you reacted to changes. You wait a while. It's been 12 years since the Westbrook portion of Sierra Vista was approved, and the applicant has made a very earnest effort for 8 years to try to attract users to the site, to make sure not just anyone, not just any user coming in, but to try to attract a retail developer that could develop a real nice project for the community. And so with that, again, we would ask you to approve the project as presented to you and recommended by your staff and the Planning Commission, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, does council have any questions? Go ahead, Councilman Albert.
I live a mile.
Wait, I want to make sure. I'm getting my public comment periods and my public hearings.
You close the public comment period.
Right.
And I would advise to close the public hearing now that the rebuttal is done and before you open it up for the discussion amongst the council.
Close the public hearing then. All right, Councilman Albert.
So I live a mile away from this, and this is probably one of the most in-depth things I've read through with all the correspondence, met with everybody that wanted to meet with me, talked on the phone with people that couldn't meet with me. And this is a big decision for us. And the hard part is there's like no right answer to it. It's tough. So some of the questions I have, I want to address a few of the things that were brought up. So somebody said they don't want a 2-story house looking down on their property. And I know there's a buffer and a road and a yard. Can you guys talk a little bit about the angle and what they could see and not see? What kind of privacy would they have, or would there potentially be an issue there?
I don't know what's subdivision map. Do you want to pull up the?
I have the full subdivision map here. They provided a section that kind of shows you where a future house would be compared to the other house. And as mentioned, it's a good distance. There's a landscape buffer, a street, and then the side of the home. So
there are no homes, fronting on it. It's all the homes that would be facing. Well, you can see right on the map. There's 4 homes that will side on to the existing heritage neighborhood. So that's 10 plus our street standards, a little over 30 feet. So you're probably, by the time you get to the house and a window, you're probably 50 feet at least from the wall, and then whatever the distance of the backyard of the homes. And it's all going to be it's all the side windows of homes, so kind of ancillary windows, not primary.
I think Marcus is going to say it's around 80 feet or over 80 feet.
Depending on which side, the western side or the southern side, it's 82 to 87 feet between the back of homes in Heritage Solaire and the homes that would be in the subdivision.
a distance. Do we have any view that shows the angle of like a window to a window? Because I know there's a wall in there. I just want residents to understand what it would look like.
This is the
We don't,
We do have some cross sections that are part of your packet, but we unfortunately
You
don't
know,
have them on the slide.
you know what?
Okay.
This would be totally speculative. We're not approving, this is not design review.
And that.
We have before us whether we're going to change the zoning on this parcel. Is that correct, Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
So we're not going to speculate on what's going to be built in that residential.
I am going to ask the question because it was brought up
We're not
by-
going to get into that, Councilman Albert. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Do I have the right to ask the
That is not
question?
before us, and anything that would come, anything we say might be part of a record at a future date and time. I'll ask council to make sure that I'm on solid ground here.
You are correct. We want to make sure we're maintaining the integrity, obviously, of the administrative record. And to that end, we want to make sure the discussion is focused on the item before the council. Obviously, there's a little bit of, latitude with regard to what that is, but we want to make sure we're staying with the item before us tonight, specifically regarding the rezone item. And you are correct that the item before you tonight is not the design of the individual buildings, the layout, windows, things like that. That's not something that would be a approval before you this evening. It's the rezone this evening.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from, Councilman Albert. Have that, we see that after it's built and then we.
I understand.
Afterwards.
We just
But-
I'll have a follow-up question with this too, but we have people in the community that are concerned about what can be seen, what's looking down in their yard. And so I wanted to talk about what that potentially could be. I think that's a reasonable question because we didn't have houses there before if we decide to
Let me make
split.
sure I'm on solid ground. That opportunity will come at another time. Is that correct? We're not approving this is conceptual. We're not approving the design
We're approving residential
Yeah, and
versus not.
Maybe to help guide this, we can.
can we pull up the subdivision map again, please, John?
No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
If you figure the side of a home, a two-story home, your second-story window is going to be about 15 feet off the ground. So if you have an 80-foot between the second-story window and the wall, all of the homes along Heritage are one-story homes. They don't have very deep backyards. So the odds of being 15 feet and looking across an 80-foot distance and being able to see a lot of activity is going to be relatively low. You're not going to be peering into anybody's home because you are going to have a masonry wall. The masonry walls already exists. Right. So odds are from the second-story window when you look down, if you're hanging out on your side yard window trying to peer into somebody's backyard, you're probably going to see the top of the wall and maybe the top of someone's head, but you won't see much activity.
Great. That's what I was looking for. So the second question is, with community commercial, how high can a building be in community commercial? How high would a building potentially be allowed to?
Community commercial allows a 45-foot height limit.
How many stories is that? Like 3 stories or?
Potentially, but most of the time for a large building, it would just be a single-story structure.
All right, thank you. There was a comment about Santucci being done by 2026. That was news to me. Do you guys have an update on that by chance?
Didn't Mark send that email with Santucci?
Is that before us tonight?
Santucci Boulevard is a north-south arterial road that's on the other side of this community.
What is that?
Oh.
Can I have a minute to check? We might have that answer. I'm not sure.
I can answer the question, Greg. It will not be done by 2026.
I didn't think so either.
I thought it was many years beyond that. Okay.
Mark did respond that he thought it could potentially be constructed.
That's what I thought.
What is that? Bunch of trucks going by with flags.
I want to, the other thing I wanted to ask is there's a half-acre change to the proposal. It went from 7.5 acres to 7 acres. That half acre, do we have an idea what's going to be different in the half acre for the residential side? Because unless I misunderstood, the drawing showed a little strip to the north of the residential side that was being added in.
It's currently, sorry to interrupt, but it's currently 6 acres, the north parcel, and 8.5 acres below, and it's being moved to create 7 and 7.5.
So the orange line is the additional residential area, right?
The orange line is the existing parcel line, And so the north parcel is being increased in size.
Got it.
And the southern one is decreasing in size.
Great. Okay, I was curious what that was. Thank you. So that increases the commercial from original.
Well, it's all commercial now, so it's not
If
increased.
it's split,
If
that-
it was kept on the two existing parcels, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then the other question I had, I know that this developer, the landowner, has approached staff multiple times in the past about potentially splitting this, and the staff were not supportive in the past. And so I just wanted to ask what changed? Because I'd heard that too, that you were not supportive of doing that, and therefore they didn't bring it to council, but something's changed now and you guys are supportive to bring it to Planning Commission.
I think after this area south of Pleasant Grove, all the way from Westbrook to Santucci, has been the subject over the last 5 or 6 years of at least 4 or 5 actions, rezones, land use changes. We've mixed it all up. The heritage development was the first one. Creating that senior development, we eliminated. We moved the school, we moved the park, we eliminated some of the original commercial that was mentioned. Was modified at that time. Housing units were transferred among large lot parcels. And this site was at one time enlarged. This site was, I think, a 12-acre commercial site, roughly, if my recollection is correct. And when we rezoned one of the parcels closer to Santucci, we added some acreage, or West Park added some acreage to this site. And so it was thought at the time that that was, the 2021 amendments were mentioned, that this was going to be a commercial parcel. And, we didn't have any concrete evidence in the record supporting a rezone. So without any, just a request to rezone land, we typically, that is our initial reaction, is we don't support a request without good data and something to back it up. So I think the efforts that were done with the economic study, the market study, that's that kind of, there are logical conclusions in the market study. Now, is it, that with that snapshot in time, is that perfect? We had a discussion earlier today amongst staff whether these market studies are science or art, right? They're art, because you're guessing on how the commercial real estate market is going to act on any particular day, year, whatever. The different changes that we're seeing. Who knew about COVID? We've had this. One of the reasons we haven't had a lot of commercial development, and we know brick and mortar on the west side of Roseville, is because of all the internet, taking over from brick and mortar, internet sales, online sales. So I think that market study coming back and showing that 7 acres is viable sooner than 14.5 acres. I think also when you start looking at the area, folks are mentioning. Or have been talking about other opportunities. If you look at the spine of Westbrook from Blue Oaks all the way to Baseline, Creekview has a 10-acre commercial site. You come down to the next node of Pleasant Grove. This site, 14 acres to 7 acres. That's going to be a commercial node, whether it's 7 acres or 14 acres. You get to Baseline. There's another 8.5-acre commercial site that we've had. We've approved a Circle K?
Yeah.
Circle K gas station. And then the landowners have talked about other commercial development at that node. So you have these 3 nodes coming down Westbrook. Coming along Pleasant Grove, we know we have Safeway at Fitiment. We have the JMC owns their parcel where they're marketing it. We've started getting marketing brochures from a commercial broker. They're trying to get some folks interested in that. So we have that node. Then we have the Village Center node. Then we have this site again, so coming down Pleasant Grove. We also know that we didn't know in 2021, Costco is real. Baseline, and then Costco is 160,000 square feet. It was mentioned, Marcus mentioned Baseline Marketplace is up to 750,000 square feet. And there is somebody talking to the owners right now about developing the rest of the Baseline Marketplace with bigger uses and a lot more retail uses. So some of those things, Baseline Marketplace, while we've all dreamed about it for years, it's going to be real. So when you ask what's changed, that culmination of all that information, I think, is what really changed. And understanding that, if we can get a 7-acre commercial site sooner than later, that's probably better for the community and the city.
I appreciate that answer, thank you. And thanks for allowing me to ask that. I just wanted to make sure we addressed it. And I before we vote, I do have a statement, but no more questions at this point.
Other questions?
I don't have any questions, just comments for discussion.
Okay. Questions?
Comments for discussion.
I may have comments.
Can you tell me how much commercial to residential shift has happened in the last 5 years?
Well, are you asking citywide or geographically?
West of Fitterman.
West of Fitterman. In the last 5 years, can we go ahead, John, and pull up slide 14? So this goes back further than 5 years, I believe. But this is roughly the if you look, this goes on the northern side, Creek View, that small piece that the city owns. You have WB 42. This is all the other adjustments. So you see there's been some subtraction, some additions. This is probably going back to Westbrook. So, you can see the date. So it goes all the way back to 2013 right here. And what's the cumulative? Around 30 acres?
Around 38, I believe.
Around 38 acres total of reduced commercial in that area.
Okay. And we have a policy on conversion?
We do have and each one of these, any rezone has gone through the conversion policy. So the housing has had to accommodate affordable housing, additional affordable housing units. They've created additional affordable housing units as the need be. Public benefit fees have been included in any of the DA amendments to any of these sites. And they've all been backed by economic studies showing that there isn't going to be an overall negative impact to the general fund. Obviously, it's pointed out in the EPS study that there will be less revenue once it's all built out, but it'll still be a net positive revenue for this particular project. And each one of the projects on this map had the same conclusion. Sorry, Mayor.
No, that's fine. And during this time, the state legislature's been up to their housing initiatives. And so could this whole site develop, this whole WD 42?
WB.
Yeah, WB.
So that's
residential under state law?
Trickier question, but hypothetically, there are housing laws that require cities in certain situations to allow housing on any land that allows for commercial, office, or parking.
Mm-hmm.
So this site would qualify for that. Now, I'll be honest with you, odds are that any landowner or developer would not want to comply with all of the conditions that the state requires, because you'd have to put 10% of the units minimum would have to be affordable. You'd have to use all skilled workforce. There's one of the bills that has a requirement for having a training, like a journeyman training program involved. It would be the most costly residential project in the city. And probably wouldn't if somebody wanted to lose money on a housing development, they could build housing on this entire site.
So my recollection is our policy on conversion of commercial to residential is 2003, 2004?
2002, I believe.
Okay, so more than 20 years old.
Yes.
Seems like we ought to be looking at that, separate and apart from what we're being asked.
It's 2004, I'm sorry.
Yeah, separate apart from what we're being asked to weigh in on tonight, and I'd make that request that, separate and apart from what's before us, that we should look at our options so that we can assure that, at some point in time, there's commercial in the area. So I think those are all my questions. I do want to Yeah, I'll have a lot of comments as well. So unless there's other questions, Pauline, you're good? No comments?
Comments when it's time to comment.
It's time. Okay, you want to go last? No, you can go now. Okay.
I'm good. You know, I've listened to both sides, and I think both sides. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Both sides, you know, have merit. I've had the opportunity to work on almost every specific plan in Roseville. I would say number two, not the rest of them. The only difference between them and what we have here past Fitterman is that they came quickly, and we had things right away. We'd finish one and we'd have another one, and it would go. They'd have the schools, the parks, and everything like that. Here at the one here past Fitterman, it was different. It did have a lot of issues with COVID, recession, and things like that. But it had a plan. It had a specific plan, a walkable community, the way they had the houses, how they had it phased. It had a kind of a mission and a goal, and. You know, I'm looking at it, and I pass by that area and see how things are coming. And what's exciting right now is it's really moving in a direction that it hasn't been in a long time, with the soccer complexes coming, with roads opening up that hadn't been opened up. They're hooking onto baseline. People aren't kind of just stuck in the middle. I think it's momentum of excitement. You know, they've got the high school. They're going to have marketplace coming. There's a lot of synergy that's happening, but sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. As we've mentioned before, like Safeway, just on Fitterman, it took over 20 years before it came, and before it was time to develop. And, you know, I'm sure when those people first bought that property to do Safeway, they weren't going to think they were going to hold on to it that long. But, you know, there's a time and a place for everything. And sometimes we don't have that crystal ball, as we mentioned. We do the best planning that we can. And these plans, are here with us for a lifetime. And if we build, you can't build houses someplace and you usually don't, and take them down to build commercial or vice versa. You know, you have a plan, and I think we made in the past some changes that seem to be conducive for other things, as they were talking about changing parks and schools and things like that. But this is one of the only ones that we have left over there. And I know they said it's taken 10 years, but yeah, having a good plan for your community it's a lifetime. It's not 10 years is a blink of an eye. So it's not for you and me or even the residents that are there now, but it's to make a plan that's good for the future. And they don't have that much community commercial, you know, and I agree with, you know, even the applicant who said that, you know, lesser would help and you could still build something there. And I'm, you know, probably right. But I'd like to keep it the way it is. And because there's so much activity now, more than they've had in a long time in that area, that it has great opportunity. And if it does take 5 or 10 years, it's going to be there, and it's going to be for those people, because once it's gone, it's going to be gone.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yeah. I think this is a good plan. I mean, I served on the Planning Commission as well as some of my other council members, and the residents on the west side just keep beating the same drum that they want services and they want areas to gather in, and areas to, that are going to provide mixed retail and restaurants, and areas where they can, spend time with their family and whatnot. You know, this achieves that goal. This is a walkable, open area, and I think what gets lost on this project is it's walkable and it's open, and it's a good use because it's mixed. And, you know, in case no one has informed any of you or you are not aware, there is a housing shortage, not only in this state, but across the country. We have people coming here every single day looking for houses, looking to move here. And it's not because we're building more houses. It's not because we are, standing them up quickly. It's because we are a desirable community. It's because we're well planned. It's because we take the time to create these specific plans, as we've all mentioned here tonight. And we have forward thinking. And this kind of a project represents that kind of forward thinking. And the other thing that I don't want to get lost on anyone here tonight is, this is a nice plan. I think it's a good use of what this parcel could be. But what you all have to remember is what we are discussing here tonight in item 11.2 is an amendment rezone development agreement. So if you don't like this plan, and it's not my job or the government's job to tell you what you can and can't like. You move here, you have a right to know what's going around you. But in that same vein, you could have a storage facility. If you don't like a 2-story house backing up to you with all of the built-in space that was mentioned here tonight between your house and this project, how would you feel about seeing a concrete wall with no paint, completely four-sided as a storage facility, or a large box store, if you can even find one, or a grocery store? I mean, all of that comes increased traffic, it becomes noise, it comes lighting, all of the things that come with those types of things that are zoned and permitted on this parcel would be in your backyard. Opposite that, you're getting a walkable area with a mixed retail, you're getting new restaurants, you're getting stores, you're getting things that all of you want. Everybody on that side of town are begging for this kind of thing. And we haven't even begun to discuss the housing yet. That's a different meeting and a different agenda item. That's just what they're proposing. They have to find someone to build those homes, and they have to find everything that goes along with that. This is just a rendering. But what's important here tonight is this is something that is desirable. It's going to bring value to our community. It's going to bring people here that we want as neighbors. It's going to bring jobs. It's going to bring tax revenue. All of the things that we as a city and all of you as residents benefit from. So what's important to remember is you might not like this, but the alternative's a hell of a lot worse. So thank you.
Councilman Albert.
So I was president of the West Park Neighborhood Association back when Pulte owned the huge commercial lot where now Oakmont Living and Mojo's exists. All the houses back behind it were part of a very large square. And the neighbors were promised by some realtors that Trader Joe's was going there, and it was a really great walkable vision. And it was exciting. And my wife and I were real excited to move to that end of town because of things like that in the design. But it sat there, and it sat there. And I remember a Pulte person or a rep of some kind came to one of our meetings or somehow connected with me and said, hey, we're thinking about putting houses on part of it so we can make it smaller and make it more sellable. And my first thought was, you're just trying to make money on it. That's not what we're expecting to see there. And the city kept telling them no. And then what I heard is the city went and did an independent study. They hired a group like this group that went out here. And they did a study and found out it's not going to absorb for a long time. And so they took that to council and they allowed them to reconfigure the property. Unfortunately, at the time, Oakmont bought part of the commercial area. I mean, it's a great service to have there for seniors, and we need that. But it could have been more retail type thing, but that was a use for it. But then Julie bought the 3-acre little plot that has 12 businesses in it right now. And I know I take my granddaughter there for ice cream. I meet with clients for coffee all the time at Mojo's. My wife and I ride our bikes down and we'll eat at Kitchen 747. I get my hair cut there. Our pets go there. And it is such a nice quality of life improvement because they split that property. And man, we took a lot of heat for it. I remember I was getting on council. I was on council when they actually were doing that, and people were still upset about it. We were promised, blah, blah, blah. And I honestly believe in my heart that it would still be a field right now if they still hadn't split it. And we would have lost all those years of quality of life improvement. And so I'm looking at a map here, and I see all these commercial areas around, and this thing's kind of in the middle, and thinking, and I've talked to several people about this, and I've talked to staff about this. I don't believe this thing's going to fill out in a long time. Yeah, way down the road, if it did, that'd be awesome. I just don't think it's going to happen. I really think things are getting smaller and smaller, and what we need is something to improve our quality of life. I'm 60. I'm not going to be around a whole lot longer. Some of my neighbors here are even older than me. And
Whoa, some of your council members are older than you, okay?
Not going there.
Talk about yourself.
Sorry for monologuing, so please, guys, be patient with me, but this is a big deal. The idea of having a quality of life factor for us is really, really important. And if this thing doesn't sell, we've lost this huge opportunity because Baseline Marketplace is going to come in. These other areas are going to come in at some point, and we still don't have a coffee shop. We still don't have a place to hang out. Could you pull up that one slide? There's a slide that had, and I know this isn't a promise or anything, but I was looking at this going, oh, that's kind of cool.
Slide with it, John, it's the slide with the two site plan designs. I think it's slide five.
I'm looking at this thing, and it's really hard when you drive by that field. It doesn't look very big, but that field is huge. And this is kind of a cool concept. Look at all the businesses around this and a hangout place. And I know it's making you guys nervous because you're like, hey, this isn't what we're promising. It's just a concept. But I heard on tape, on film, Mr. LaDuca say, I wrote it down, I'm hopefully close to it, that these guys are committed to bringing a quality developer for a community-friendly commercial project. Is that accurate? You said something like that? I know these guys. They've worked in Roseville for a long, long time. They built your community. They built my community. And I trust that they're going to do this. And I'm going to really be mad. I won't be on council then, but I'm going to be really mad if they don't do that. And I trust it. So, again, these are so hard. These decisions are so hard because it's like, yep, it could be, but I'm going to support splitting it and really hoping that we can get the right group in there to build something that's going to be fantastic for our families. So cheering you guys on if that happens. Thank you for letting
Vice
me
Mayor
monologue.
Bernasconi?
Yes, thank you. Okay, a few things to keep in mind that have not maybe been said tonight. I don't want to be redundant in the interest of time. I think it's important to remember that this area is still a growing part of our city. So, when you make the biggest investment of your life, you need to be able to do your research, and plans will change. That's the most western part of our city. So we've heard it over and over again, around, even daycares have been challenged at times. Fitness centers have been challenged at times. It's impossible to get anything built. People will object to anything and everything, and we've been around long enough to have experienced it. And I think that we need to be able to respond to the market. And this developer has shared with us that it's been on the market for at least 6 years with very little interest. You look at, 14 acres is roughly the size of the new Nugget Shopping Center, which is really huge. And it took, I don't live very far from there. It took, and I've lived there for 20 or so years, it took about that long to build. There are commercial corners in this neighborhood, Pleasant Grove and Fitiment and Blue Oaks, Fitiment and Baseline. We have many neighborhoods in our city that don't have access to services within 1 mile. And you should know that when you move in or do your research. And some people are okay with that. You have to be okay with that. I don't think it is unreasonable for somebody to drive 5 or 10 minutes for services. I don't. As far as, 2-story homes, my 1-story home is surrounded by 2 stories, and I've never thought for a second that I have neighbors that are looking in my home. I just think that people are too busy with their own lives, and maybe I'm naive, but I'm not concerned about it at all. I think it's important for us to realize that The developer, this process has had sunshine to it. It has been vetted, heard, considered, approved by our planning commission with really relatively little objections. I've had 2, maybe 3 letters around this, and I've heard more support. But in my, my philosophy is that the market dictates the conditions. Cities don't determine what sort of, which business goes where. The council and our city, our job is really to approve land use and through this specific plan and let the market dictate it. So, I don't know that a grocery store would go in there. I think that a grocery store would probably look at and say, there's 2 Safeways, there's 2 Rayleighs, there's 2 Nuggets close by, there's a grocery outlet coming in. But that's not for us to determine necessarily what goes in there. It's up to the businesses to determine that. So I think that 7 acres is plenty, especially considering all of the neighborhood or the services and the businesses that will and are adjacent. So I will be supporting this rezone.
Great, thanks. What I appreciate is that staff and the applicant have provided us a lot of data. We each have our own lived experiences. We have our own histories and, serving on the planning commission, certainly seeing, and talking to residents, I've seen, how starved the west side was for commercial. So I am concerned, and that's why I asked the question about what the history is of, the conversion of commercial community to residential. I am concerned that the size of the lot may limit its ability to be a viable commercial center. But having said all that, I appreciated the MDX report because what it said, and we're not professionals, but if we read it and we listen to the public, we can come to good decisions. But what it said was, this is a 180-degree site. So it has limitations on where it can attract shoppers from. And that moved me to understanding this better. We do our best up here. We had an incident recently where a constituent reached out to us because we approved a project, and while we try to look to envision everything, the complaint was, well, that business is 200 feet away from it, and the decibel reading tells us you shouldn't hear it, but guess what? We hear it. And our staff, to their credit, said, whoa, they're operating outside of their conditions of approval. They had light bleeding, lighting bleeding into their backyard. And they brought that to us, and we reacted to that. So we can do our best here with the information we have. And I think that, despite my initial desire to have this thing to be a 14-acre site into perpetuity, I do know that residential against residential is a much better fit than commercial against residential. So I appreciate all of the information that we've been provided so we can factually and listen to the community, respond to the community, and factually make a decision based on the best information available. And it is the best information available. Everyone said the world changes, and it does. And so I'll be supporting the staff's recommendation tonight, having looked at all this information. And separate and apart, I'd like the council to have a review of our conversion policy and see if there's something we need to adjust there. But that's separate and apart from this action tonight. Okay? With that, will you read a motion?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. So on item 11.2, the City Council will consider the The 13th addendum to the Sierra Vista Specific Plan Environmental Impact Report, also described as an EIR. Adopting Resolution Number 24-372, amending the general plan to change the land use designations on certain real properties in the city of Roseville. Adopting Resolution Number 24-373, amending the Sierra Vista Specific Plan, and adopting the two findings of fact and introducing for a first reading an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Roseville, amending zoning ordinance number 5428 of the City of Roseville, changing the zoning of certain real properties located within the City of Roseville, and also adopting the five findings of fact and introducing for a first reading an ordinance of the Council of the City of Roseville, adopting a fifth amendment of the development agreement by and between the City of Roseville and West Park SV 400 LLC relative to the Sierra Vista Specific Plan, a certain portion of the property commonly known as SVSP Parcel WB-42. And lastly, authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. With that, Mr. Mayor, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
No.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate the good conversation. We're at that point in the agenda where we will open it up for a second round of public comment on non-agenda items. Okay. City Manager?
No. We've got 11.3.
No, we don't. It's continued.
Oh, yeah, but we still have to announce it.
Oh, I have to. I'm sorry. Item 11.3, the electric backbone mitigation fee, Roseville Municipal Code. The public hearing's been continued to the meeting of November 20th. Thank you very much. All right. Do I have to open it up for a second round of public comment? We did that. Okay. City Manager.
No further reports, Mayor. Thank you.
City Attorney.
Reports, Mayor.
All right. Councilwoman Rakucci, do you want to share?
Sure, that'd be fine. We've had a lot of activity, excuse me, this week of things that we've seen and done, and that we've all done together. One was SPCA, groundbreaking for their veterinary facility and foster care for animals. And Salvation Army had their kettle beginning for the Christmas season, so that was quite nice. As far as my committee assignments, actually today I went to Yuba City for the Northern California Water Association. They had their meeting up there, and had my Northern California Power Association meeting here in Roseville. And we also had a risk oversight committee meeting for electricity, so that occurred. I was going to ask our city manager, we had the Hindu community come at our last meeting, and they were talking about some festivities that were occurring, but the gentleman was talking about somebody getting hurt someplace, and I didn't know where he was talking about, and he didn't mention it. So I was wondering if the city manager heard any more.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rakucci. Yeah, we looked into that and found out that event was actually outside of the city limits. It did not happen in the city of Roseville.
Okay, thank you. That was good to know because we didn't know. Other than that, thank you everybody who went out and voted in this election, whether in Roseville, Placer County, and California, that we exercise our right to democracy. Thank you.
Councilmember Mendoza.
I'll just not mention all those again that Councilwoman Rakucci said, because I was there as well. But there was another event that I got to attend that was fun. I joined the mayor over at Monk's Cellar with the Sips and Suds to support the SPCA.
Pints for Paws. Pints for Paws,
Sips and
baby.
Suds.
Come on.
See,
Stay on brand.
Suds, beer, drinking. Yes.
It's like, we could wash the dogs with the suds.
Right. That's next year. That was a proposal. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's right with the bocce ball tournament. We'll see how we're doing. But yes, that was a good event, and that proceeds from that went to the SPCA. So always a good cause. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, Councilman Albert.
Well, clearly I'm pretty tired tonight. I feel it anyway. Ditto on everything, and we got to attend a Sewa Diwali event, light event, joined some council members from Rockland and Shanti Landon from the county, and we rode in a long parade of lights all around the city, and it was kind of fun. Interesting cultural event that they hold every year, so it was nice to be invited and join that. And I just wanted to close my comments by congratulating my wife on an excellent campaign. I know she worked really hard and dragged me out many nights knocking on doors, so it was a lot of activity with candidates on the west side of town.
Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yeah, just a few things to note. Last week, I joined council members from Rockland and Lincoln, and our council member Pauline Rakucci joined us for our 4th annual blood drive at the Galleria with Vitalent. In the last 4 years, we collectively have been able to collect 106 pints of blood. So politics is a blood sport. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Well, it's even though Veterans Day is Monday, it feels like it's almost like Veterans Week, and I am proud to be a Navy veteran. Tomorrow is an event at Sierra College that, work permitting, I will be able to go to, and I will attend the event tomorrow night that the city is hosting on our town square, and the law enforcement awards tomorrow night, and then I've been asked to say to address the students at Roseville High School on what it means to be a veteran during their assembly on Friday, and then the Ignite group is doing something noon the same day on veterans on Friday. So by the time Veterans Day comes around, I know there's a few things that day. That's a Monday, and work permitting, I just need to see what my schedule looks like. But it's nice to see so much acknowledgement out there for our veteran community. That's all I can think of tonight. And congratulations to Tracy and Bruce, 4 more years. It's official. And congratulations to Karen Alvord, 4 years ahead of you. And we'll see you at the swearing in on December 11th.
Well, we're going to come back November 20th.
Well, I'll see you before then, but yeah, I'll be back between now and then, I promise.
I think
we're lived that long because Scott says,
We're already past there.
10 more years.
I know. I just want to follow that Veterans Day theme. So I had an opportunity on Saturday to go to Heritage Oaks Wall of Honor, talk about veterans. I think we talked about this last time, but maybe not. I also got an opportunity to participate in the Coast Guard recruitment opening at Veterans Plaza. On Monday in Lincoln is the Veterans Day event out there at their wall, the Placer County Wall of Honor. 4 of us got to go to the Salvation Army's Ring for Hope, the kickoff for the ring. And I mentioned earlier Roseville Rising. It always seems like the next day after these council meetings is SACOG, and we've got a SACOG transportation meeting tomorrow, which should be interesting given that the federal funding, a lot of federal funding on a lot of areas is uncertain. We did hear, as Councilwoman Rakucci heard, our federal lobbyist, the Ferguson Group, gave us some, at Northern California Water Association, gave us some best cracked crystal ball predictions of what next year may be with respect to the budget and what continuing resolutions might be. So with that, we'll be adjourned till November 20th. Thank you. Oh, and congratulate. She left. All right.